Welcome, everyone, to the Monthly Movie Dispatch, the movie review show from friends you can trust. Every week, we broadcast a review of a new film, talk about some film news, and recommend what to watch. We've been talking, critiquing, and gushing over a movie since we were in high school, and we aim to bring you honest conversation about relevant cinema. I am here with my brother, Brandon Bolby.
Yellow.
And my name is Shaun Bolby. And today we are going to be talking about the new James Campion film, The Power of the Dog.
Correct.
Yes. Out on Netflix right now. So go check that out. But first, we're going to discuss a little bit of what's coming up this month. I feel like we've mentioned several times new movies that are coming out, but every new episode we do, it feels like every week I learn about some new movie that I'm really excited about. So
because the indies kind of sneak up on you a lot quicker than the bigger ones that we've been talking about for a while. And now there's a whole slew of new directors I love that are coming out with movies in December I didn't know before.
Definitely. So yeah, let's jump right into it. And maybe we'll talk about some of the ones that we're most excited for, even though we've already done that in past episodes. Sorry, still have that chest cold thingy. Yeah, so I guess some of the more exciting ones, we have The Matrix coming up I believe that's coming out on Christmas.
Hell yeah.
This weekend,
good or bad or okay, I'm like super excited to just see that movie.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm at too. Yeah, then we have The West Side Story coming out this weekend, which I'm kind of sold by. I think the trailers make it look really good. Janusz Kaminski is always kind of killing it with Spielberg and the cinematographer, and
looks very imaginative, and I'm excited. Definitely.
Very timely too, for that movie to come out. As I'm blanking on the writer who just
Steven Sondheim's passing last week. Yep.
Then we have Licorice Pizza, which we've also talked about before on this show, the new Paul Thomas Anderson film. And then, which I know you are particularly excited for.
For sure.
Then we have this weekend another movie coming out, Being the Ricardos, about Lucille Ball and the making of I Love Lucy, which is written by Aaron Sorkin, which sounds pretty cool. It looks interesting, and he always has something interesting to deliver.
Sure.
Also this weekend, Red Rocket, which is the new Sean Baker movie.
This is one of those that snuck up on me.
Yeah.
Right? Didn't know about this like a month ago.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll just mention this to you, but I had not seen Tangerine or the Florida Project. And
it's a crime.
Those are, that's what they say.
It's getting very good reviews. So I am, you'll have to check out Florida Project, and we'll go see this over the break.
And then there is Nightmare Alley, which is the new Guillermo del Toro movie. Have you even seen a trailer for this, Brandon?
Is this his follow-up film since Lady in the Water? Has he done anything else?
No, I think this is it. Maybe. I mean, I feel like he just produced Antlers. Antlers came out earlier, but he produced
now that I'm thinking that Lady in the Water came out a while ago, so maybe he just took a good, long, decent break and just produced in the meantime?
I mean, it's not that long. It's only a few years. Was it 4 years? 2017, yeah, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, this one has a pretty incredible cast. Cate Blanchett, Rooney Mara, Bradley Cooper, a lot of big names in it, and it looks really, really interesting. Let me get back to the document. That's next weekend, or not this weekend, but the next weekend. And then we have Get Back, the Beatles documentary that you've talked about.
Peter Jackson.
Yeah, Peter
9-hour
Jackson.
long Beatles documentary.
Yeah.
Looking forward to seeing it.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what that's coming? Is that coming out on the streaming service?
It's already out.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. I forget what streaming service, but it's already out.
Nice. And then we have a couple more kind of miscellaneous ones. Come On is the new Joaquin Phoenix movie that's been getting quite a bit of buzz. Flee, which is a kind of animated documentary about a man fleeing Afghanistan, moving to Denmark, I guess.
Yeah, it's getting just like a lot of the documentary buzz right now.
Yeah.
A lot of people talking about it.
Yeah. And then there is The Hand of God, which you just put that on here, and I don't know.
Paulo Sorrento, the director of The Great Beauty, which is one of my all-time favorites.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so a lot of big stuff. I know we have talked about our favorites, and yours was Licorice Pizza. But do you have outside of that?
Anything changing?
Yeah, did anything change?
I think it's just still Licorice Pizza. Mm-hmm. I think we'll probably all just have to go like Christmas weekend when it comes out in wide release.
Yeah.
In a big group and just see that. It's cool seeing him go from like all these crazy experimental bigger films and like Master and Phantom Thread and just going to like this more coming of age movie.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see him like stripped back, but we'll see how stripped back next week.
Yeah. Definitely excited about that movie. I would go like right now I'm probably most excited for Nightmare Alley. It's coming out in a couple weeks, and I've known that it was coming for a while, but it kind of left my mind for a little bit, and now I'm like realizing all of a sudden that it is pretty much here, and
stacked cast.
Really excited. Yep.
Seems like he's taking his time with it too. So
yeah, for sure. But yeah, so that's our kind of upcoming movies. We didn't even mention there's like a Spider-Man movie coming out.
Oh, fucking forgot
or something like that.
Yeah, we totally blanked on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's probably some other big ones that we're blanking on, but these are kind of the more of the ones that we're really excited for. So yeah, that's December. Go check out some movies. Get out there. But yeah, let's move on to our featured review for The Power of the Dog. This is the new Jane Campion movie. She wrote and directed this film. She's kind of famous for, we were just talking about this before the episode, she's most famous for The Piano, which she was nominated for and won several Academy Awards. And she hasn't done a whole lot since, unfortunately. But yeah, this was at least a show of talent, if nothing else. I'm excited to hear what you thought about the movie, but I think we could, regardless, we could both agree on that. The plot description is charismatic rancher Phil Burbank inspires fear and awe in those around him. When his brother brings home a new wife and her son, Phil torments them until he finds himself exposed to the possibility of love. A little bit of a spoiler.
Kind of a weird way to put it.
Yeah. Yeah, that is not how I would have described it.
Good old love story, huh?
Yeah, good, kind-hearted love story. This movie stars Benedict Cumberbatch and Jesse Plemons as the two brothers, Kirsten Dunst as the new wife, and Cody Smith-McPhee as the son. And yeah, I saw
Jesse Plemons, right?
Yeah, Jesse Plemons. It was such a great cast. Benedict Cumberbatch. Love seeing Kirsten Dunst do good stuff.
Don't see her very often.
Yeah, but she's a talent for sure. Melancholia and some other movies. She's
more few
really
far
good to
between
watch
right
when
now.
she's good. Yeah. So yeah. This movie is available on Netflix, I believe, exclusively, unless you're in maybe New York or LA. It seems like it's getting a limited release.
Very limited.
Brandon, what did you think of this movie?
I thought this movie was really fascinating, interesting, hard to watch, like unsettling tonally, even though not quite that much actually happens on screen in front of you. Um, Awkward in a really interesting setting that really fuels this movie. Like, I mean, maybe you're used to it. It's just like it's a Western. It's in Montana, but in the 1920s, Montana with this type of culture and these people, it's just like endlessly fascinating to see such a well-made, um, like character drama of people in this time and place, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Um,
I definitely agree. I have a lot more to say about it being, kind of what this movie did differently from other Westerns, but yeah.
it's all about the characters here from start to finish, but I was pretty along for the ride, as much as like I also was kind of like grossed out by a lot of the stuff I was watching. I was always like interested in where the movie was going and what was going to come next, and why we were watching what we were watching.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like this movie's based on a novel, like it says, of the same name. And I think by the time you get to the end, it is very much like a novelistic like conclusion,
Mm-hmm.
where things like really peak to one important moment that makes a lot of the like stuff you've been watching come around and make a lot of sense. Um, and I really appreciated the ending. I think it helped me enjoy a lot of the movie a lot more, when thinking back on it. Um, Movies need to stick the landing, and I think the plot really sticks the landing as it's wrapping up in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I don't know, maybe I have a few nits to pick, but overall, I think this is a really great movie in pretty much every aspect.
Yeah, totally agree. And yeah, I think there's just so much talent up on the screen. Obviously the actors are absolutely incredible. Benedict Cumberbatch, who really is the main character of this film, and the other three who the movie does some kind of in an interesting way brings each of the other three characters in and out of the main driving plot of the film. And they kind of come in and they are kind of the number two alongside Benedict Cumberbatch for a time, but then they
stays constant, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool the way it does that, and it structures the movie around that. And I also think that the movie really does play in two fairly distinct sections, I guess. They're like, it's broken up, where the first half is really invoking certain emotional, kind of it's invoking very negative like fear and like anxiety emotion, and then it like kind of goes in a different direction in the second half and really makes you question a lot of that, and makes you question even basically all of your assumptions in the first section of the movie.
I had a lot of like I was like predicting a lot in this movie. I thought I knew where it was going, and sinister or like non-sinister endings were popping into my head, like for how these like characters are going to wrap up, and none of them ended up happening.
Yeah,
the way which to the like movie's credit, from the first half to what happened in the second half. Like I think they set you up for a lot of things and then give you a special, unique ending that you weren't think it would play out.
Yeah, definitely, and like takes you in a direction you had no idea the movie was going to go in. Yeah, and it's a lot of, I was saying, a lot of talent. Jane Campion is pretty incredible. She has a pretty incredible eye. I believe all this was shot in New Zealand, which kind of really, I thought, really lent itself to that vast.
It's shot in New Zealand for a Montanian landscape.
Yeah, and I wonder if shooting it in New Zealand, maybe it's a lot more sparsely, or there's sections that are much more sparsely populated. Although Montana is pretty sparsely populated and pretty big.
Lots of open plains, rolling hills, stuff like that.
Yeah, but
it looked real, but there were some beautiful shots in this movie.
Absolutely. Incredible vast landscapes that
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you're just kind of can't do in America these days
Anymore.
the way
Anymore.
that you are able
Yeah.
to in New Zealand.
Right.
But yeah,
And that it really made you feel like you're the isolation, the like, fading cowboy lifestyle,
yeah,
the 1920s, what Montana would feel like, and just like
mm,
there's a day's ride into the next town kind of
mm-hmm,
thing.
yeah,
And they're out here ranching in the middle of nowhere.
yeah. I wanted to talk about that for a little bit because I
Hmm.
think this movie does or touches on some themes that a lot of westerns have touched on. I've seen many westerns are all about kind of that turn of the century and a passing kind of a bygone era of the cowboy and the old west, and
Yeah.
meanwhile, the modern world is slowly encroaching, and the train is coming into town, whereas
Right.
it used to have, it was only Stagecoach that could.
Yeah, I remember the
could get you
highways
from-
brought up at one point
Yeah.
in this movie. They're like highways, the bulldozing the old cemetery, highways going right through it,
Yeah.
kind of stuff like that.
Yeah, and a ton of movies like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, Unforgiven is another one, and The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance are kind of some of the main ones that come to mind. But the thing that this movie does differently is that it's the character that is representing the Old West and the kind of holding on to that old frontier lifestyle is the villain of this movie, unlike pretty much every other Western that I've seen. It is kind of the modern world that is the victim, that are the victims or the characters that represent the more modern world that are the victims of the Benedict Cumberbatch's character. And right. I thought that was an interesting take on it, because it is always like this bygone era and this hero, this great hero of the West who
I see what you mean. It's the opposite, right?
And I really like that.
They're usually the heroes,
definitely,
but not in this film, right?
So yeah, in a lot of ways, this movie is kind of an anti-Western. There's that. There's it doesn't have kind of, well, I won't get into that till spoilers, but kind of the ending is very, feels more like an anti-Western type ending. But yeah, I have to mention the score as well. Johnny Greenwood absolutely kills it.
And I didn't know that going into the movie, but as I was watching the movie, I was like, the score is like weird and interesting, and it kind of works. And then, of course, when I saw like on Wikipedia that was Johnny Greenwood, I was like, okay, this totally makes sense. He's doing his own thing, but he's genius at it.
Definitely. I think, it was just like the plucking cello. It was like a cello or a stand-up bass or something, but just that low, not the bow sound, but the plucking sound, and just like, it was so... sounded so good. It was unsettling, and made me feel ill at ease. Ill at ease? That's not right. Yeah. But yeah, what you have anything you want to add before we jump into spoilers?
I am down for going into spoilers because there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about, but I think we both given our overall opinions. We both loved it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
it is, kind of, it is a bit slower paced of a Western, and, but yeah, I think most people would enjoy this. I definitely recommend it. Yeah, jump into it.
Let's do it.
The ending.
Spoilers.
Should we just spoiler section? Here we go. The ending. What did you think of the ending?
Did you see any of it coming at all?
No. Well,
literally not until the funeral, and he's like, and I kind of wish they hadn't even shown him like holding the rope in bed. I kind of wish it had just been that throwaway line at the funeral right before it cuts, where he's like, how did he was always so careful. How did he get whatever the disease was? Like,
It was anthrax.
Typhoid or
it was
how do you get anthrax? He was always so careful. I wish it had just left there, but like that was, it's so clever and such, like I said, a novelistic, like written ending for how everything is concluded.
Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't. You said the bed. When he was in the bed, it gave it away or something. But
no, just after that, it shows him sitting in the bed holding the rope with gloves.
Oh,
and it's just like kind of accenting the point even further.
Yeah.
That it was his string that did it and stuff, but
yeah.
I mean,
did you think that wasn't accidental, right? That was
it was totally on purpose. This kid.
I would say actually one thing
I've been plotting this,
Yeah.
or not that exact thing, but I've been plotting like wanting to get rid of this guy somehow for a while.
Yeah. I will say I think I wouldn't have necessarily gotten that it was on purpose if it wasn't for him sitting in the bed holding the rope. That it was, and that last shot where he like sees his mom and Jesse Plemons walking up. I think, like, because I was totally confused the whole time, and I was just absolutely shocked, and I was like, what happened? And then it was just like, when he said the anthrax thing, I was like, oh my. And then like, you remember him, that close up slow shot of him reaching into the water to grab the rope,
which was a weird shot, right? It went on for a little too long. Also him the long shot of him like cutting off the animal's bulls without gloves on, and like castrating the bull, like
and he even said, even in that scene he said, it's always the last one that you cut yourself on, or something like that.
That's where wait, is that where the cut started, or did it start with the log throwing?
I think it was just the log throw that cut. But it was just like bringing up that it could, because they mentioned that, or I don't know if, but they mentioned like anthrax several times throughout the movie. And a lot of very subtle hints and placing of ideas throughout the movie. And then
I liked one of the final shots of him watching his parents or his mom come home from the funeral, I guess, through the window, and them like hugging each other and kissing each other, like from a distance though. And it's kind of like, you can imagine everyone's lives get at least a little bit better. Like, she probably puts down the alcohol, her complete debilitating, is that the right word, anxiety probably starts going away, and she's able to like, enjoy her time on this ranch more and be present with her husband. And I think in a lot of ways he probably saves the family dynamic after that.
Definitely. However, I mean, so like the first half of the movie, I don't remember when it like kind of starts to make the change, but as soon as he starts being nice to the kid, the movie takes a really interesting turn. What was your take on that? Do you think that was genuine affection for the kid that blossomed into something else, or do you think it could? Because I think the first thought that I had is that he's trying to use the kid to torment the mom further. But
I think that's a good point. I think a few different things happen, and I think he would have definitely gone traveling with this kid and tried to sleep with him if the kid had gone on like the couple-week adventure the couple-day adventure that he proposes at one point. I think it could have led down that path, and that probably, it might not necessarily would have been a great ending. I mean, we don't even know if the main boy is gay or not. Like, we don't see any. I don't think we see any proof either way of that. But I think he puts up with it in the last few scenes and isn't afraid to shy away because he knows he's killing him. That's what I was going to say. There is that one scene where they share the cigarette. He shares a cigarette, which is clearly, and he knows that he, or he saw the
not pornography, but the magazines.
Yeah, he saw the magazines.
And he clearly put things together. Yeah.
He says, he's like, you slept naked. Like, he says that confidently without shying away, and does the cigarette thing confidently without shying away.
Yeah.
And I think at that point, he's just like, I'm going to kill this guy, and I'm so above everything right now that I don't need to be, like, worried about these conversations.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
but
I just thought that was a really badass thing for,
definitely.
for that, shy kid to do.
Yeah. And you kind of get that sense throughout the movie. Like early on, he's making the flowers and, he gets made fun of and he kind of just runs away. But once he gets to the ranch, there's like that scene where he walks through all those ranch hands that's sitting around, and they're all like, calling him Nancy, and
I think,
and he just kind of confidently walks through and confidently walks back, and there was kind of a change there that you kind of pick up on.
You're right. I think he knows he has a plan early on. And he's okay taking a little bit of shit because he knows either way he's going to rise above it all. Like you said, he walks straight to those birds and comes back, and there's this long shot of him not caring, right?
Yeah.
And there's no kind of side scenes of it getting to him either, in a too challenging way, other than maybe at the very beginning of the movie, early on when he's just serving them food.
Yeah.
But maybe that's because he's already kind of made up his mind that I'm smarter than these guys and I'm going to do something about it.
Yeah. Because you assume like I think a bit of time had passed at that point. He maybe went off to, what did they say? Yale.
School.
Yale, I think, to become a surgeon or something, with some Ivy League school. And so he kind of came back perhaps more confidently, and
he's wonder like back for the summer, right?
But do you think he had a plan to kill him from that point, or do you think it just kind of, he learned about the rope?
He learned about his mom, maybe. He learned about his mom. Her alcoholism. Yeah, I don't know if he knew that before he came back.
Yeah.
It probably formed early on when he got there, like, seeing how hard it was on his mom. Because he tells that story about his dad committing suicide and him finding his dad to alcoholism.
Yeah.
So, like, he's probably like, I'm going to protect my mom so this doesn't happen to her.
Yeah.
Right? I think Benedict Cumberbatch, like you asked that good question, like what was his actual goal? Because like some of it was to piss off his mom. So he definitely gives her some looks, like, look what I'm doing to your kid. I'm gaining his trust. But at the same time, I think he starts caring about the boy because you see his like adamant about like completing this rope on time before he leaves.
Yeah.
Like, I think he like genuinely regardless of what his initial intentions were, he like actually starts having like feelings for him and bonding enough with him to like be obsessed with completing this gift for him.
Yeah, definitely. And it definitely seems like it has a genuine intention to, make him a better, more confident, more capable kid. Probably his own perspective of what that means, but
with the other guy, I think he probably finds the similarity in what happened to him in his past, right? Like some actual cowboy like showed affection to him and trained him and helped him out in his life, I guess.
I gotta say, there's like, as we're even talking, there's so many little subtle things that I'm like remembering from the movie, and that was one thing. Like, there's so many little unspoken details throughout this movie that that kind of just very subtly call back to the point where I don't even know if it was intentional or if I'm just putting this into the movie. But like things as little as there was a shot early on of the fire escape, the rope in the inn.
When I saw that shot, I was like, someone's going to hang themselves from that rope.
That was my exact thought.
Yeah.
And they don't say anything. Maybe it lingers on that rope for just a second longer. And then like much later on in the movie, he mentions that his dad hung himself, and it's like, did she do that? Was that did she put that in my brain? And like, now I know I can like picture how he killed himself just because of that shot from
that fire escape rope from
using the fire escape rope and like jumping out the window with the fire escape rope and hanging himself like that. And then I'm like picturing him
it's really smart
outside the house hanging from this fire escape rope. I'm just like, did she do that? It's
also a call forward to just like the final rope, you know, that kills Benedict Cumberbatch.
True.
And, I don't know, just ropes.
Yeah, for sure. Ropes are a big theme in this movie, right, Brandon?
I don't know with the word theme. They're an object that comes, you see, and is mentioned many times in different ways.
Yeah.
It was just, I thought about that rope in the moment, but yeah, I forgot about it. You calling back to it.
Yeah. I don't even know if it was a callback, but that was just like just because she hung on that rope for a second longer, I pictured his dad hanging outside that window from that rope. Yeah. And yeah, it was just like such an impactful moment.
So we're supposed to, so you think that was actually the house that he was raised in, like they had a restaurant and stuff like that. Like that's kind of what you assumed.
Why would they
be in a different house than before?
That's kind of what I assumed.
Got it. Yeah. You're probably right.
Maybe not. But I don't know.
One question: like, when did you start? Like, when did you think maybe Benedict Cumberbatch was gay or bi, and where that plot point was going?
The first time he crawls through that little tunnel and goes and he just rubs mud all over himself.
Okay.
Like,
oh yeah, it's like some weird tunnel.
I mean, like, again, this is kind of like the fire escape rope where there's no direct connection. There's nothing that he does in that scene that would make you think that. It's just like a really smart, subtle little thing that almost you don't even realize it until it comes back up later. But just the fact of him like a little hidden place he crawls through, you know, it's kind of intimate, not sexual, but it's you know,
wait, is that like his closet?
Yeah, something like that. And
I also had in my head that maybe worked, the crawl space worked maybe better in the book than it did in the movie. I was like, can't they walk around the tree? Like, I didn't really understand. Is this like the secret garden or something?
Yeah.
Probably the description of it in a book works better than like a movie, because like if they just showed a wide shot of whatever that actually was, it probably wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
It's just a river. Like you can get to that river any other way. But that's a pretty minor thing. But yeah, I get what you mean. That's kind of when you first start feeling some kind of like something's different in him.
Yeah.
Also, I felt like the like shrine and the references to the dead cowboy, started giving it away to me pretty early. I was like, I was like, I think maybe they fucked. In my head, I was like, when I saw that like weird shrine that he was rubbing and stuff. That popped in my head early.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't pick up because he's very like aggressively oiling the leather on that thing. I didn't quite understand that at the time, but it definitely made sense.
They talk about this cowboy so many times. Like in the first half of the movie, his name just keeps coming up.
Yeah, he taught taught him how to say or how to see things or whatever.
Right.
Something that.
So that scene was really interesting.
Another thing popped into my head. He said the guy taught him how to see things like in the hills or in the mountains, and the young kid also was able to see things. I don't know what that means, but there's kind of an interesting connection there.
Yeah, I felt like they were talking about like being more than just like the dumb cowboy life. Like there's like beauty in this like place in the hills. Yeah. Or just even just like the way you look at the shadows that the hills are making look like a barking dog. Yeah. And obviously, I mean, maybe it was like kind of an obvious scene because the other cowboys were like, what? I don't see it. You know, what's over there? and it's like you'll never understand.
I loved that scene.
And
I don't
what's
even know why I
I
liked
did
it.
like that scene. I'm not actually complaining
Uh-huh.
about it, but it's yeah, I think it's just like the beauty is over there, I
Uh-huh.
guess. And
Yeah.
I don't know, the boy sees it because obviously it's
Mm-hmm.
like a wants to be a doctor, intellectual.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What do you think they're commentating on?
Oh, I don't know. I was just the fact that the what was his name? Buffalo Henry taught him how to see in the mountain, and then the kid
Okay.
could kind of see things. I don't know. There was like some connection there of maybe passing down, um, or yeah, I don't even know. Was able to see
Rising
things different,
above
see
this
things
and just
differently, or
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
I I don't know. It's just I think it's just like um uh, I don't know, the spirituality
mm-hmm.
of like the cowboy life, as opposed to just hard work and fucking prostitutes maybe.
Yeah,
And a few of them have, the dead cowboy taught him that there's more to the world,
mm-hmm.
that you can see, stuff
Yeah,
like that.
for sure. Um, yeah. What did
So,
you?
other scenes that stood out to me,
Yeah, yeah.
the the dancing scene with Jesse Plemings, after they get married.
Yes.
Like you see almost like very little between them. Obviously, he does like the nice gesture of like helping her run her kitchen for a bit,
Mm-hmm.
but all of a sudden they're married, and I really appreciated that scene when they're on the way back to his house,
Mm-hmm.
where you actually get to see a little bit of depth between them.
Yeah.
Um, in that one moment of her like leading him on how to dance, and he like cries, and he's just like, it's
Yeah.
just like such simple lines, just like it
It's
feels
just
good not to be
nice.
alone.
Yeah, definitely. Um, and yeah, the landscape that they shot that in, instead of it being in like a in their house or in like a little room or something, they're in this like vast landscape of beauty.
Mhm.
Um, yeah,
On their way to the
really.
ranch.
Yeah, for sure. Um, there's so many great little things. I loved the early scenes between Benedict Cumberbatch and Jesse Plemons, where
Yep. Yep.
Jesse Plemons almost ignored everything that Benedict
Mm-hmm.
Cumberbatch was saying throughout like the first however,
Is a is a good line. He's like, you wanna what do you say we go like just trying to be friends with this
mm-hmm.
brother. He's like, what do you
Yeah.
say we go in the mountains and like hang out like old times kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff.
Yeah.
And he like barely has anything to say to him. He's like, what? Something got your gut?
Yeah.
Um, and it's just this awkward moment between them, and you
Uh-huh.
kind of tells you everything about the relationship.
Yeah, definitely. You can tell that he's just like at the point where he can't even engage anymore with his
Yeah,
brother,
I
like because it's almost like as you come to find out, almost everything he does is calculated and villainous, and is trying to either tear you down or whatever it is. It's
yeah.
and he just can't even engage with it. Doesn't have a word to say because he knows that anything he says or is just going to be it's going to be used against him.
I
Um,
think one of my nits to pick, while like some of those individual scenes were good, I don't even know if they still are nits, but I do have, because like the movie concluded in a really interesting way. But in the moment, in the first half hour of this movie, I was just feeling like Benedict Cumberbatch is like so evil. Like every moment we see him on screen, he's
mm-hmm,
just being an absolute asshole.
mm-hmm,
And I don't know if I still think it's too much. Maybe I would have to
hmm,
feel out the movie again. But in the moment, I was just like, all right, we get it. Like this guy's a piece of shit. Like not every word that comes out of his mouth has to be like this. And maybe I wish the movie had been like 20 minutes longer
mm-hmm,
before his brother goes off and gets married, of like them starting to hate each other more.
mm,
Because like I don't think he's hated his brother since they were like kids. I don't know. Like otherwise, he probably wouldn't have been, or like he would have left a while ago. I don't know. It kind of felt like a more recent thing
yeah,
because like him saying, "White, something in your gut." Like he obviously hadn't been, like you're saying, ignoring his brother completely up until more recently.
Yeah.
Um, or else Benedict Cumberbatch wouldn't still be trying to make a connection with him anymore. So maybe I'd wish I'd seen that transition more, and it would have made it feel more realistic to me, because
Yeah.
Benedict Cumberbatch was just at 11 right off the get go.
Yeah, that's probably true. Although I do think it kind of makes that transition into the, I don't know, second, third act of the movie, when he kind of starts being nice to the boy, so much more shocking, I guess, and like so jarring, and it's really hard for a long time to even consider that he's actually just being nice to this kid. And
there's a couple scenes where people are just talking to each other normally, like Benedict Cumberbatch in like towards the end of the movie, and I'm like, wow, is this the first time I've ever just heard people conversing in this film, like side by side? Because everyone is so stiff and stilted and calculated for most of this film.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I thought there's enough moments to relieve that early on, like the scene with his ranch hands or whatever, where they're looking out at the mountains, and anytime he talked about Buffalo Henry, you really got the sense that he did have he has a genuine, or he at least can be genuine.
There's something in his past
of that,
right?
And I guess I thought there was enough of that, and I thought that they were, it was just such. I was so intrigued by how they were building that character, I guess.
No, makes sense. That's good. Those are some good defenses. Yeah. Like you're pointing out those scenes that were sprinkled throughout the first like third of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other thoughts, or you have? Yeah.
I liked the dynamic between. I liked figuring out the dynamic of like who they were, like what this ranch was, what their family is. Like, I don't know, all that was slowly revealed throughout the movie. Like, why are they ridiculously rich and wealthy? And I don't know, you just like, you still don't know too much, but it's enough to get the, like, their dad's like, they kept talking about this governor, and I was like, oh, their dad is the governor of Montana, or I'm assuming so. No. They don't even tell you that specifically.
No, I think the governor was the other couple. Because they invited their parents over, or he invited their parents and the governor. So it was like when that scene happened, there was the old guy with the big white beard was the dad, and then there was the mother.
They're just rich enough,
and then there was the other
be friends
guy,
with the governor.
Yeah, the other guy who left quickly, I think. That was the governor and his wife.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're just
a wealthy, or
parents.
I don't know what maybe they were in politics or whatever, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean the parents seemed like, just like upper social Montanian socialites, and somehow, or I guess they owned this ranch, and Benedict Cumberbatch went down the lifestyle of actually working on it, while the other brother, Jesse Plemons, like went down more the financial road of just like managing.
I assume they both, and it seemed like they both kind of grew up with Buffalo Henry as well. So you get the sense that even Jesse Plemons at one point was pretty, was down and dirty and got his hands dirty with the ranch. I don't know if they got all their money from the ranch, or if they, just took a lot of family money to build the house and everything.
And get the land.
But yeah, it seems like Jesse Plemons more took over that financial and the money side of it. And yeah, Benedict Cumberbatch, I loved that. Yeah, I loved the differences of the brother, especially since you can kind of get the sense that they both started in a similar place. One scene I really wanted to point out that it kind of blew me away was the piano scene. And
which one?
The one where Kirsten Dunst is practice. She gets the new piano. She starts practicing the and then, but she's having troubles playing, and she starts over several times, and then Benedict Cumberbatch just walks in, and I was terrified and like all of a sudden just flooded with anxiety, and he just walks in, walks up the stairs, and then that shot looking down at her from the stairs, and he gets
his banjo.
You just hear the banjo, and just the devastating mockery of what he did.
He's just better than her, right? Is that what it was?
I mean, like realistically, he's just better than her, and she's not very good at the piano, and he can play the song that she was trying to play. But like the way that the scene was shot, and the way that it built up to that scene, it was just like anxiety inducing and so insulting and just devastating.
And in the back of my head, I was like, oh man, they could just jam with each other. Like, this could be a good connection they have. Like, they're both musicians. And I almost thought at the very start of that scene, when he was playing in the background, that he would come down the stairs and they would start bonding over it. But then it was just like, did not go that way at all.
Yeah. And then like throughout the rest of the movie, he uses that little...
Yeah, the whistle. Yeah. Just to fuck with her.
Yeah, and it was just like, I thought that was so clever and so well done. Kirsten Dunst's performance in that scene was incredible, and actually just throughout the whole movie. The scene where she was really drunk and talking to her son, I thought that was, it was incredible.
Which scene?
There's like, I'm trying to remember. I think it was
one more detail
when they're talking about the rabbit. I believe, right? Is that what it was? When she was just like she was in her robe, and she's talking to her son, and she's just like really intoxicated. I'm having.
And he brings the rabbit. Is that what you're talking about? And then they're playing with it and holding it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she kind of snaps out of it for a second, and
I thought, she just like the way she played that scene was pretty incredible. Yeah.
I mean, just like her alcoholism, the way it just like absolutely like subdues her, like, and making her sick. She just looked so ill too. Like, I don't know. It was super believable in the way she was handling everything.
Yep. Absolutely. I think we could keep going. I mean, Benedict Cumberbatch, I could point out, 10 different scenes that blew me away with his performance. But is there anything else you wanted to specifically mention?
Those are all the big points. Yeah. It's a really good movie. Go see it, everybody. Yeah,
absolutely. Highly recommend it. Or you don't even have to go and see it. Just stay in and see it.
On Netflix. Netflix.
But I will say, if you do happen to have access to this movie in theater, I really wish I had seen this movie in theater. It's the landscapes, the cinematography was pretty breathtaking.
Agreed.
But yeah, I think that's it. Next week, we're probably going to do the West Side Story, or just the West Side Story. What is it? Is it the West? No, it's just West Side Story, right?
I think so.
And that's going to be, are you doing that, or
I'm going to do it?
Do we know? All right. You and maybe
probably Nick. I'm going to make Nick do it, because Derek obviously is preoccupied.
Derek just had a baby. Congratulations, Derek. If you can take time out of your busy schedule to listen to this podcast, congratulations.
Congrats, dude.
That is awesome. But tune in next time for West Side Story. And until then, like and subscribe, and we will see you next time.